Oh shit, you restarted recording? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17 of Two Dudes and a Room. I am Nathan, the destroyer of worlds, and I'm joined here by...
Oscar.
Jesus Christ, dude. You're not even going to try to fucking sauce it up? Oscar.
Oh,
you know what it's like?
Hold on. Do it again.
And I'm joined here by...
Hey, it's your boy DB Cooper, aka the Mastermind, aka the one that got away. Nobody can catch me. I'm out here with my boy Nathan, the destroyer of worlds. He's gonna blow up your whole planet.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna destroy your whole planet. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. I'm feeling good today. How are you feeling, Oscar?
I feel like Kodak Black in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
I feel finer than a frog's hair split four ways.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel finer than a frog's hair split four ways.
I mean, I guess it would be a very fine hair.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, I feel fine like lemon lime in the summertime.
All right, I want to get away from this.
I have a lot of sayings.
Yeah,
so if you want me to, I can keep doing this for like 45 minutes.
I don't think I do. And, you're very, very impressive. Very impressive with your sayings.
Okay, thank you.
But
I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. But we're not here to talk about that, right?
Right.
We're here to talk about the topic of the day.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows if you fucking go into the link in the description and you fill that out, not only do you get $4.29 of value, but you also get to choose what we talk about.
Also, we talked about this last time. You get the $4.20. No, it's not 25 cents. It's 26.
I thought it was 29.
I can't remember. It was about a week ago.
Oh my God, dude.
Anyway, not only do you get that money, value. You don't get money. You get that value.
Yeah, careful.
You also get you actually, if you do that and if you leave a question, you're actually more attractive.
Just automatically.
You become more attractive.
Like when you talk to a person of the opposite sex,
or
a person
whoever
of the
you're,
same sex,
or whoever you're into,
or a person of anyone, and you go talk to them, and they're gonna ask you, right? Oh, this went great. You're really interesting. I love this place you took me to. Did you submit a question on the Two Dudes in a Room podcast, by the way? Have you ever done that? And if you say yes, like, you're definitely getting laid. Like, at the restaurant.
100%.
She won't even wait for you to go home.
100%.
So that might actually be an inconvenience for you. So just be careful.
But it'll be a fun story to tell your kids.
It will be a fun story to tell your kids how you got fucked into Starbucks. But we want to talk about the question of the day. And the question of the day today is a very interesting one that has to do with athleticism and sports.
Yes.
And the question was, what counts as a sport? Like, what do you define as a sport? And also, like, a couple of other questions about it. Like, what about esports and gaming? Like, is that a sport? Is fishing a sport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the question. Thank you, randomtopicgenerator.com, for submitting this question.
Yes, because this is a very interesting topic. I saw it and immediately was hooked on it because I think that a lot of people have a lot of different inclinations on what a sport is.
Yep.
But first off the bat, I'm going to get the most controversial one.
You're just going right for it.
I'm going right in.
Okay.
I'm just going to get this one off the bat because I know this will be the most controversial take of the entire 1 hour. The entire podcast. I don't think that swimming is a sport.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
No, I don't think
swimming.
Yeah, I don't think swimming is a sport.
Is a sport that completely revolves around your athletic ability to get faster.
Nope, because swimming, if you're not swimming in water, you're dying. It's surviving. If you aren't swimming,
So let me ask you this,
Yeah.
right? There's like dog paddling and shit like that, right? Like there's like just barely staying afloat. There's like treading
that would
water.
be swimming.
Right, that is swimming. I know.
Yeah.
But there's also like what's it called? Running,
Right.
So you can run or jog and not go very fast.
Right.
And you can also become so good at running over the span of years and years and years that you're setting like world records of pace and stuff.
Sure.
The sport is how fast you're running. Like that's the whole sport.
Yeah.
And you need to walk to get to places. But
right.
So what's the difference between someone like treading to stay afloat and someone like breaking records with how quickly they can travel a body of water?
Well, my thing is that, and this is mostly based off of a George Carlin bit, but if you're not swimming in a pool, you are actively dying. You're choosing to die because you will sink to the bottom.
What if the swimmers? What if the swimmers in the sport, right?
Yeah.
All had oxygen tanks and scuba suits. Now what happens to your thing? Because if they don't swim, they're still going to survive.
Okay, then they're not swimming. Then it isn't a fucking sport. What are we?
I don't think
about?
that's true. But then that if they were swimming, I'm saying I'm saying if they were. That's not my. I'm saying if they had scuba suits on, right?
Yeah.
And were swimming.
Yeah.
To see who could swim fastest.
Yeah.
You can no longer say that it's not a sport because if they didn't swim, they wouldn't survive.
Right.
Because they would. So then what? Then what do you say?
Okay, I mean, so you're saying
I'm just
that
wanting to know your opinion on it.
if they did the swimming, that's my opinion. That swimming isn't a sport. What's your opinion on it? You think swimming is a sport?
I think the sport is. It's just dude. Let's not act like it's more advanced than it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, since caveman days, it's been impressive when humans can exert feats of ability. You know, when they can show feats of strength, when they can show feats of dexterity, when the human body is capable of accomplishing a feat that is difficult to the average person. That's what makes it interesting. If we all were Michael Phelps, it wouldn't be interesting to watch him perform the way he does.
Yeah.
So I think the sport.
That's why I also think that like
I think the sport
running
part of it,
isn't really.
I think that running is as well. I think the sport. I think the part that you might be missing is that the sport part is that the person has to perform and train at a level that is extremely hard. And that ability is like infinite. You know, we keep getting new records each year, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So that's the sport.
I think
it's a race. That's like saying a race isn't a sport.
To me, I think that sports should be games. Like,
I'd be more interested to know if you think that NASCAR is a sport. If racing is a sport.
I don't think racing is a sport.
Because that's what I'm saying. That doesn't just come down to the car's like performance. It also comes down to like the person's ability. Like, you know, do they know how to turn corners? Do they know how to?
I think that like running and like doing things in like a race is kind of like an activity. I don't really consider them a sport.
But there is a competition, right?
It's a competition. Okay, that's better. Well, it's a competition.
Right, but the etymology of the word sport means competition.
Right.
A sport is a competition.
I think that a sport in the way that I think of it is like a game. It's like basketball. You have like I think like really the only real like sports are like.
Dude, the definition of sport is, and I just looked it up because I wasn't sure. Actually, I genuinely wasn't sure.
You were just making stuff up.
No, definition is not the same as etymology. I wasn't sure of the existing definition.
Right.
And it says an activity involving physical. That's important for a coming up question.
Yeah.
Physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. That is sport. That is what a sport is. So swimming is a sport, dude.
I don't.
It's a sport.
You're asking me my opinion. In my opinion, I don't consider it a sport.
So you don't, but you'll say this: you don't consider a sport in your opinion, but you do agree that if we were fucking robots, right, and not humans, and didn't have opinions, and we were just going off the definition, it does qualify as a sport.
Sure.
Okay. So now that we've gotten that down, we can talk about opinion, because I think that swimming is a sport, but what I was far more interested in is your claim about the other one.
Oh, what? Golf?
Yes. Tell the people about that.
Golf isn't a fucking sport. It's
swimming. You might be able to change his mind, ladies and gentlemen. But golf, he will die on.
Golf is like the most. First of all, it's elitist.
This definition did say physical exertion.
Yeah. First of all, it's elitist.
It's elitist.
Yeah. You have to have some money to play golf. Like you have to have like a decent amount. Only certain tax brackets are playing golf on a like daily basis. So I don't think it's something everyone can play. I think that mini golf is closer to a sport than actual golf is.
Mini golf.
Oh yeah, dude. Fuck around with a windmill for fucking 45 minutes and tell me that isn't a fucking sport.
Mario Kart ass shit.
Because golf is like the most least athletic shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. You take like a metal club, right? That you don't even pick out yourself. You hire somebody else to carry your bag for you because that would be too much work.
Swimming people hire coaches to coach them and like.
No, but do they hire somebody to like pedal their arms for them so they can, you know what I mean? Like they carry their own bags. They carry their own bags with their equipment and like goggles and stuff. They don't have like a goggle guy that like holds their goggles the entire time as they're like walking around the pool. They just do it themselves.
Give me my goggles, goggle guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Here you go, Michael.
But in golf, they have like it's like a mandatory slave boy that has to follow them around with their clubs, and like it's built into the game that you need like.
Okay, but let me say one thing. Can I try to be devil's advocate here?
Sure.
I mean, we're having an argument, right? It makes sense for me to try to.
Are you arguing that golf is a sport?
I actually kind of get where you're coming from on this one.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I'm trying to like. I think it's interesting to provide like a devil's advocate kind of argument.
Sure.
So in like, let me ask you this: what's something that you do consider a sport? You know, like you said basketball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't need like a fucking person to bring them the ball because the entire team is using one ball. They don't all have like a collection of different balls they each use. That's one thing. Hold on, I'm not done. One thing. The second thing is the court is a small court. With golf, you have to move along an entire course. Like you have to understand. All I'm trying to say is the reason that you have to at least know why. What do they call them? Caddies, right? They call them caddies, I think. Golf caddies.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call them, but there's a reason that golf slave boys came about, right? It came about for a reason.
Yeah.
And the reason was they didn't want to have to carry heavy things.
You get what I'm saying?
But no, that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
They wanted to avoid manual labor.
That's the point I'm making. They didn't want to have to carry a heavy load.
God forbid.
So
God forbid.
Okay. Let's come up with an interesting golf. Let's come up with a sport golf.
Look at this. Imagine coming up with this sport right today. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, boys. We're gonna have a sport, right? It's gonna be us hitting this little ball into a tiny hole on a piece of our land. There has to be at least how many acres? Can you Google this for me? How many acres is a fucking
average
a standard golf course?
Yeah. You got any guesses?
Oh man, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how big an acre is. Like,
really?
No, I don't. I like if
it's square 0.531 miles. No, I'm just kidding. How many acres is a golf course usually? 18 holes, which is a standard course, is usually played on 150 to 200 acres.
200 fucking acres.
This depends if it's an urban area. Sometimes they're down to 100 acres.
Yeah,
and obviously bigger ones can be like well above 200. But.
Right. So you need first of all you need fucking at least conservatively 100 acres
how
of
did
land.
Golf even get made? Now that I think about it,
this is what I'm saying.
It had to have been like. It must have started as like mini golf. It had to have started as mini golf.
It's because rich people were bored. What do you mean?
Yeah, they had a shit ton of land and they were like, fuck it.
We have this shit ton of land.
Let's put a hole way over there.
There's not a hole. There's 18 holes.
Well, they started with one probably, and then they were like, let's do another one.
There's 18 holes all around. There's 18 small, tiny holes that we have to find along this.
You know what I actually like more than golf?
What?
Disc golf.
Disc golf is
it's actually fun.
Yeah, but
it's just but no. What I like about disc golf is that unless there's communities I haven't seen, and a lot. I'm not saying that if you're a disc golf player this is true.
Right.
But like everybody knows, a lot of disc golf players are stoners. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. That's a stigma, and it just is the way it is.
Is that a stigma?
Oh yeah. Did you not know that?
I don't hear a lot about.
Do you know any stoners?
Disc golf.
Do you know any stoners?
Yeah.
Go ask them about disc golf and see how much they know and are interested in it. Go test it for yourself.
Okay.
Trust me on this. Go find out for yourself. And just ask them. Just be like, what do you think about disc golf? Do you think disc golf is good? Just find out. But the thing I like about the disc golf community, they don't take themselves as seriously as golfers. Like, they know it's just fucking disc golf. Like, they know you're just throwing frisbees. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't take it that serious.
I think I don't like golf because it's really arrogant.
That's what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
disc golf doesn't have that, which I
Yeah.
like, but it is arrogant. And then there's always like the little
Yeah.
golf clap. Oh, and he's okay and an excellent.
Also, it's
excellent putt there.
fucking boring. God damn, bro. Like you're
guys.
not even allowed to cheer.
I watch golf for the commercials.
How boring do you have to be where you can't cheer? Also, it's like, oh, not only do we have to take up
Can't
all this
cheer. I feel like that's a big point.
Yeah.
Like, can we think about that? The whole point of sport is entertainment.
Yeah.
Basketball, but you can get loud as fuck. Football, you definitely get
it's
loud.
like the whole point. You're supposed to like cheer on your
in
favorite
golf,
guys.
you're like, let's go. Like, hush, and focus. Shh, no cheering. Good job.
and then like on top of that, you can't just have like a shit ton of land. That land has to be perfectly green. Like,
And you're
it
gonna
has
have
to-
a guy come out and make sure, like,
Yeah.
inspect it,
Yeah.
and make sure that it's like championship level.
You have to.
It's
you
the
have
same
to,
with tennis, though. I guess.
You have
right?
to dunk a lake's worth of water onto this grass every day just
Okay,
to make sure
is
that it
tennis
stays
a
nice
sport?
and healthy. So
Tennis has a lot of like game rules to it, and it does require athletic ability.
I think again, harkening back to the George Carlin bit that this is reminding me of. He says that tennis isn't a sport because it's just ping pong played on the table, and I think that's fucking hilarious.
I mean, yeah, as a joke,
Yeah.
yeah, but like actually, it's a sport, dude. There's athletic ability. There's some athletic ability.
Yeah,
if
I
you've ever
consider
played
it.
tennis, it's a fucking workout for sure.
Yeah, I consider it a sport,
But not swimming.
No, I don't consider swimming a sport because it's like not a game. I don't.
It is a game. Like
don't-
there's rules to it and shit. There's different like types
I
of
consider that like water polo or like water
water polo
volleyball
is pretty
is
sick.
closer to a
Have you-
sport
dude,
than swimming.
Have you
is.
seen that one form of volleyball where they like do flips and shit and like kick it with their feet? Like they literally like break dance and shit and like do crazy flips.
No, I've never-
It's awesome. It's like this like Brazilian form of fucking volleyball where they're all just like literally doing like 720s and shit and just like kicking the ball back and forth to each other.
Oh, shout out to them.
It's fucking awesome, dude. I love that shit. What about martial arts?
Martial arts. I think that's just fine. Like, to be honest,
Okay, here's what I think it depends, right?
it's not a sport. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's
hold on,
just
hold
an
on,
activity.
hold on. There
Like,
are certain martial arts that are not very effective in
Right.
fighting, and they're based around tradition.
Would you
Those
consi-
ones are more sporty, is what I'm saying.
would you consider like hiking a sport?
No, but
since
do you get,
it's a
do you get,
physical
do you get what I'm,
activity?
do you
You
get
know
what I'm saying? No,
saying?
but I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. Like, there's forms of martial arts where if you were to go out into the street and try to use it, you get your
Right.
ass fucking beat. Like the training for them is doing like tradition, and they have these little contests where like it's like fencing.
Yeah.
Like you're not when you need to kill someone with a knife, you're not gonna fence. Fencing is like you have to use a very specific type of blade that has a point on the end, and if you tap their wrist, you get a point. If you tap their shoulder, you get 2 points. If you tap their head, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a real world scenario.
Right.
And there's forms of martial arts competitions that are not real world fighting scenarios at all.
Sure.
They're scored weird, and like there's all these traditions. So I could see you making an argument that that's a sport, but if we're just talking about like fucking jujitsu or like, fucking, so, I don't know, boxing. Well, boxing, that's a tough
That's
one
just
too.
fighting.
Yeah,
I
that-
don't think that fighting counts
Okay,
as a sport.
boxing is like has some restrictions on it because like MMA is just straight up fighting. Like they elbow the shit.
Yeah,
you can
but
you can hit him below the belt and
you
shit.
know what I mean. Like it's
I do feel like there's a difference though. Like with boxing, like there's like technical points and scoring too.
Right.
And there's like gear, and you're not just using your fists. You have like boxing gloves on.
I guess
You're
I
not
can
actually fighting
consider-
to the death or
yeah,
some shit.
I guess I can consider it a sport.
Because you know what's funny? You make this argument, but in Rome, they considered like the gladiator arena a sport. And they were literally fighting to the death.
I consider like you could take like
Like they would just put a fucking guy, a slave, in a fucking ring with tigers and watch them kill him and call it a sport.
No. Okay, so I think that if you're fighting against somebody, it's a sport. If you're just like practicing,
Like alone, like they're
like
just
alone,
watching you.
or like if it's like one of those things to where it's like, oh, I'm gonna break this piece of wood with my foot.
Yeah,
or
that's
I'm gonna break a cinder block.
I agree with
that's
you on
not
that.
That's not a sport.
That's not a sport. That's just a
I would
competition,
consi-
right?
Yeah, I would say that the sport is fighting someone.
Okay. It's just a tournament otherwise, right?
Yeah. What do you think about fishing? Do you think fishing is a sport?
I don't know really enough about. I don't know much about like the fishing sport scene.
I don't think that fishing or hunting is a sport.
Oh, man,
that's just me.
It's like there's a level of randomness to it, right? It'd be different if like, here's how you could make fishing a sport, okay? Here's how you could make fishing a sport.
Yeah, you just get hoed if like a big fish
That's what I'm
doesn't
sa-
bite your
that's what I'm
fucking
saying.
hook. How am I supposed to control? Like,
Well, you can
what?
control it if you actually can kind of, you can't 100, you're not God, you can't 100% control it. But if you're good at fishing, fishing isn't boring. You can catch like a shit ton of fish if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You use different weights and shit and catch them at different heights. But my point is that here's how you can make fishing a sport, okay? Here's how. Take a body of water and have like robot fish that like all circulate the same amount. Like they move in uniform circles underwater, right? There's no randomness, okay? There's no randomness. And you have to land your hook on one of them while they move. If your hook touches them, or maybe it's not a hook, maybe it's like a little ball at the end. If the ball touches them like a carnival game, then you get a point, right? There you go. Now it's a sport. There's no like, oh, does the fish bite the hook, right? There's no like, oh, did I fish in a good area? It's just your ability to aim a fucking ball at the end of a pole. Like that's all it is.
Right.
So that could be a sport. And it'd be boring as fuck. Still boring, like normal fishing.
Yeah, I think that to be honest, like it has to be interesting in order to
Interesting
be
is
considered-
subjective. That's the problem.
Well, it has to be my.
Were you about to say not to me?
Yeah,
Were you
no.
about to say it's not subjective to me?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
I think
That is
that-
extremely ironic.
I think that
It's
I
not
should be
subjective to me.
should be the arbiter of what is and what isn't interesting.
Okay.
And
So if you say it's
if I say-
subjective,
it's objective.
Yeah, okay.
If I say that it's interesting, then it objectively is interesting.
Wow.
So
A glimpse into the mind of Oscar, ladies and gentlemen.
and so I think that it would work. We haven't tried it yet, so you can't say that it wouldn't work
Look,
because there isn't any proof. Because I think a lot of interesting things are interesting. That's how it works.
I think interesting is subjective, and if you're gonna
Okay.
actually argue,
I think that golf is uninteresting. Do you think that it's interesting, Nathan?
I think golf is more interesting than you think it is.
Do you think that golf is interesting?
I think that golf is a sport.
Would you go out of your way to watch a golf game, match, whatever the fuck they call it?
No, but
No.
that's my opinion.
Why? Why wouldn't you?
Because
It's
don't-
not-
No.
it-
No.
Tris-
I know. That's not the. Do you actually not understand wait, hold on. Wait a second. Do you actually not understand the difference between objectivity and subjectivity? Like, do you actually not understand that?
Yeah, I understand it.
So you get that, like, just like I don't find it interesting, there are a lot of people that do find it interesting. You
And
understand
they're
that?
wrong. Do you understand?
No,
do you not understand?
See, when you say that, it shows me that you don't understand the difference between objective and subjective.
Right. No. By my definition, to where what
Yeah,
I
so
say
that's
is objectively true.
That's subjective.
No, you don't understand. In
You're
my
right.
in my definition of objective, whatever
Your
Oscar,
definition of objective?
whatever
You just get to
Oscar-
make up definitions?
Dog, all definitions are made up.
What?
All definitions are made up.
Oh, we gotta move on. No, we gotta move on. We gotta,
Hold on.
no.
Tell me what
no.
gives you or anyone else the right
No,
to
we're not
make
getting
a
into that. We're not
definition.
getting into that. We're not getting into that. We're not getting into that. We're not getting into that. I'm not even. That is the worst logic I've ever fucking heard. We're not getting into that. So I have another sport question for you.
Sure.
What's your opinion on? See, if Nick was here, he would know. You know the sport where they have like a fucking like this stone. It's gonna sound weird as I explain it.
You're talking about
What? I've only
curling.
What the fuck? How'd you know? I said one thing.
Because curling is the only sport with a stone.
You sure about that, bud?
I'm pretty sure.
It's the only sport with a stone.
Where you use a stone.
I'm gonna look that up. Actually, let's find out. Sports that use a stone. Sports that-
Curling.
It's like one bullet.
Curling.
It's like curling is the only sport that uses
Curling.
Bro.
What?
Look at my phone. You see what I looked up? Sports that use a stone.
Yeah, curling.
Look.
Yeah, it's curling.
No, but it didn't even give me a list.
No,
was
it just said curling. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's curling. It's the only one that I know that uses a fucking stone.
So, like, is that a sport? Let's use our system here, right? Let's use our system. It has physical exertion.
It's like competitive cleaning to me.
It has well, some of them clean, the other ones push a rock. So it has some small physical exertion. Hold on, we got to get through the system, okay?
Yeah.
It's like when we made our One Piece tier list. We had a system, we had a rating system.
Right.
That's how you take something subjective and you rate it. So does it have physical exertion? Small, but yes, it's like a 3 out of 10, right?
Yes, but I think it's the same thing as like golf, dude.
But
golf has
okay.
some physical exertion.
I think you could make the argument that curling has a little bit more because you at least have to fucking skate on the ice and shit.
You're right. You're correct.
It's a little.
It is more athletic than golf because you don't have like a slave that pushes the rock.
Yes, you have a slave that skates forward and cleans in front of the rock. Two of them.
That's true.
2 of them. So there's physical exertion, right?
What the fuck is that fucking? Who thinks of this shit, dude?
There's physical exertion, right? And there's competition because you're fighting another player. Although it's sort of similar to the competition you listed, where you're actually just hitting a. No, it's not a sport by your definition because you said chopping a wood block isn't because you're not fighting someone. Even if you had 4 people chopping a wood block to see who could chop more.
Yeah, I don't think that's
okay. Well, then curling isn't because it's not like they're fucking throwing this.
No, they're trying to.
I mean, they try to get into a circle.
They try to get into the circle and they try and knock like their opponents out of the way.
I guess that is kind of like.
Dude, to be honest, if you were to put a gun to my head and tell me how you win a game of curling, I would not be able to. Like,
you get the stone in the circle, I guess.
Just shoot me, like, because I could not tell you like how you win.
So it has physical exertion. You just made the argument that you are fighting against another person. And what was the other factor? That it's like difficult and it has like rules. I mean, it's pretty fucking difficult. If you were to say what you want, bro. If you were to fucking go to a curling, what do they even call those? Curling arena.
I've never skated on ice before.
That's what I'm saying. If you were to go to a fucking curling center,
right,
and pick up a curling broom and hit a curling stone,
do they have?
I think that's what all the names are. Yeah, I think I definitely aced all those. You would probably suck. I'd probably suck. You know? So. In fact, I'll say it. You could make the argument that bowling is less of a sport than curling. Because in bowling, you're not hitting anybody else. It's just like the wood argument. You're trying to see the best score you can make, and you have multiple people who score against each other.
Yeah, I don't really consider bowling a sport. What do you think about cricket?
What do I think about cricket? God, are you sure this is a good topic for the podcast? What do I think about cricket?
I was just thinking of avant-garde sports.
I'm going to answer your question, but I just want to point out, if I ever fucking went to a party, it doesn't matter if she's the most attractive girl I've ever seen. If the question that she asked me is what I think about cricket, I'm leaving the party.
Yeah.
God, if anyone ever asked me that. What do I think about cricket? Cricket's the one with like the fucking like hollow, or like the ball that has like the holes in it. And there's like a cricket bat.
That's a wiffle ball.
Not badminton. Wiffle ball? Wait, which one is cricket the one with the scooper?
No, cricket is the one. It has like a paddle. I don't think a cricket ball has like holes in it.
Did you know that right now, or just finished, was the West Indies versus India in cricket? And it looks like West Indies had a score of 150 and 130, and India had a score of 421/5D. India won by.
What the fuck?
Yeah, India. Yeah.
that isn't an actual score, is it?
Look at it. You make sense of that. It's the first one. It says how much India won by. India won by an inning and 141 runs.
This shit makes no fucking sense.
140 and 50 and whatever the other one.
Wow. You know what? That should be our new gambit. It's just us trying to get into cricket.
Just different, just weird sports.
We just pick a cricket team and start following them and like get really into cricket and then try and convince other people. Man, I think that should be like a game to try and convince somebody to watch a game of cricket all the way through.
Oh, cricket has a weird bat.
Yeah, it's like a paddle.
I don't think I've ever watched a game of cricket before.
I've never. No.
Is it just like weird baseball?
It's weird baseball. You have to. I think you
I
have to
definitely think
knock.
baseball is a sport, by the way.
You have to knock. I think any sport that you can play in a mirror is a sport.
What?
Yeah. Anything,
Play in a mirror?
and it'll still make sense.
I mean, I kicked your ass and smashed in a mirror. Does that make that a sport? You also said any sport that you can play in a mirror is a sport. You used sport in the definition.
Any game that you can play in a mirror is a sport.
Okay, well then smash is a sport.
Well, anyway, I think that like football, 100% sport. Baseball,
You can swim in a mirror and it makes sense. That's a sport.
100%.
You can golf in a mirror and it makes sense. That's a sport.
Well,
Actually, you really fucked up. You really shouldn't have said that because pretty much everything we've talked about you can do in a mirror.
but it makes
Actually,
sense.
let me
would
ask
it
you
make
this.
sense?
Name a single fucking sport that wouldn't make sense in a mirror. You see how that's taking you so long? It's probably not a good filter if it only isolates like one sport. Maybe you should consider a different method of qualifying a sport because you can't think of a single one. You're still thinking. It doesn't matter at this point. It actually doesn't matter what you answer with. It's taken so long that I've already proved my point.
All right.
Maybe you shouldn't use that because pretty much every sport.
I don't know.
Where'd you hear that from?
cricket-
Is that a George Carlin bit?
That is a George Carlin
Is
thing.
your whole opinion on this just from George Carlin?
Sure, possibly. The world may never know.
I think the world has a fucking inkling. I think they have a guess now.
But let me think.
No, you probably shouldn't.
I think that cricket is weird enough to be a sport. That's going to be my.
There's like a rule where like if they're weird enough.
Yeah, I
Curling
mean, like
is weird.
if it's specific enough, Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. I said that curling was a sport.
Yeah, but you were on the fence.
I don't think that.
You were on the fence
like
about it.
things like. How do you feel about like snowboarding? I don't think that's a sport.
What? But they definitely like compete and like it makes sense in the mirror and it takes physical exertion.
This is
and
the whole racing thing. I don't think that if you race, like
but they're not racing. They're like, I mean, sometimes they're racing, but that's more like skiing. Snowboarding, they like
is it
do tricks
well,
and shit.
See, if it's tricks and shit, then it would be the bowling.
Then you have to at least let the
Scenario.
racing be a fucking. They're literally right next to each other. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would that not be a sport? They're competing. They're literally right next to each other competing.
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it.
I'm coming to the conclusion that you form a lot of your opinions off of like emotions and like weird abstract like I don't like it decisions versus like
I can do
logic
that.
and like
I only have this one life that I live, Nathan.
you can do whatever you want, bro. Yeah,
And I
fuck
can
it.
do whatever-
Nothing is good or bad. You can be a
Exactly.
serial killer and it's okay because you only have one life. Exactly. Totally makes sense. Now let me ask you this. Let's talk about a different. Or let me put it how you put it, which makes me uncomfortable every single time. Play with me in this space here. Is esports a sport? Now hold on. Before we both give our opinions, before we go both give our opinions, let's talk about let me specify what I mean by that, okay? Just so you and I are arguing about the same thing, okay? Because I don't want you to be arguing about some shit I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about the biggest esports, okay? I'm talking about like, fucking CSGO, fucking League of Legends.
Your favorite game?
Fucking CSGO is pretty fun. It's not my favorite game. Fighting games, you know what I mean? Like fighting in a game where there is a competitive scene, there's a coach, there's a team, there's money to be made, there's records to be broken. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about getting on my fucking computer and fighting someone, okay? I'm not talking about fucking getting on a shooting game and doing well in the game, which Oscar recently was doing very well in Apex, which I'm proud of him for. But I wouldn't consider that esports. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just you playing.
It's like saying that Michael Jordan was doing well at basketball. But continue.
No, it really isn't. It's like saying Michael Jordan is good at singing.
It really
That's what it's more like saying. But what's your opinion on it, on esports, man? What do you think? Only in that setting. Only in that setting. I described.
If you want my knee-jerk reaction, 100%, it's not a sport.
Wow.
I don't think that playing video games.
In that setting.
Yeah, if I'm gonna dunk on golf for being unathletic, then I cannot say that playing video games is a sport.
Then can we use a different term? It's not a sport. I won't call it a sport.
It's an esport.
Can we say esport?
Sure.
So if we use different terms,
move the goalpost.
Yeah. If we move the goalpost here,
Yeah,
it's okay.
Just move the goalpost. It's fine. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
as long as we're doing that, yeah, I'll give a shit.
because in the future we're all gonna have fucking VR helmets on
Yeah.
and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all gonna, dude. Are you
Why don't
kidding
we
me?
call it
20,000
Goo Goo Gaga
Oh my.
Pee-wee baby games? Yeah, sure.
Oh
Yeah,
my
if we're gonna
God.
move the goalpost, then yeah, we can call it.
Because if it's 20,000 years from now, we're all gonna be in some fucking crazy futuristic like
like the Oasis in
it's like
what's
no
it
one's
called?
gonna
Ready
do
Player One.
Yeah, no one's gonna do physical sports anymore. It's all
Yeah.
gonna be digital. So
Yeah.
like.
And
That's
then
the same with freestyling. The
Yeah,
goalpost
sure.
keeps getting moved.
Yeah.
They call it freestyling because people started showing
What?
up with pre-written shit.
What do you?
And they-
you
and-
just onto the rap thing
And
now?
no, I'm just pointing out like it's analogous. Like we just moved the goalpost for the name freestyle because people
Right.
just showed up with pre-written raps and people were like, "What the fuck?" And now everyone does it. So now you can just go, "No, that's freestyling." No, it isn't. We just moved the goalpost and now it's called that. That's
Right.
what's gonna happen with sports. It's not even gonna be called esports anymore. You know, like it's just gonna be called sports.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once that goalpost moves, then I guess so.
You know, if I adopt your mentality of like all words are made up and goalposts can just move, life is really boring.
What do you mean it's boring?
Well, then there's no point of this argument. I mean, anything can be a sport because the goalposts will just move. So, I mean, whatever. Sport can be whatever you want. There you go. There's
No,
the end of the conversation.
No, I meant that's what you wanted to do. You said if we don't call it a sport, if we call it an esport, is
No,
an
I'm
esport.
just using your like stuff against you to like, come at you. It wasn't like
Pause. Anyway,
I put emphasis on at.
anyway, yeah, man, I just I don't know. I don't think that's a good argument because like, or I mean, for esports.
Yeah, it definitely has to be called esports.
Yeah.
I don't think that's moving the goalpost. It's just
I mean,
like
sure, you have like a strong chance of getting arthritis
it's not.
as a 25-year-old.
Yeah, but you have the strong chance of getting injuries from other sports too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but like,
I don't think it's moving the goalpost.
Yeah,
Moving the
it's-
goalpost is
it's
like
really-
calling it sports when it's not.
Yeah.
This is like
I don't think
using a
it's-
different name.
I don't think that it's sports. It's a competition. It's really
It is
cool
a competition.
that takes a lot of skill and effort.
It does take skill and effort.
But it's just not a sport. It's like I wouldn't consider like what's it called, the Iron Chef competitions to be sports. Like the
So does it require does it have to be at the Olympics for it to be a sport? Or is that like a good starting place for benchmark?
No, because
There's some crazy games in the Olympics, dude.
they have fucking like archery at the Olympics. Like,
You don't think archery is a sport?
fuck no, dude.
Same with the bowling thing?
Yeah.
Okay, what if they were shooting each other?
Then it would be a
That'd
sport.
be actually kind of
Yeah.
sick. If they just
if-
watching two
I
archers
would
fight
say,
each other.
I would say if they had like paintball at the Olympics, that'd be a sport.
You think paintball's a sport?
I literally just said if they had paintball at the Olympics, it'd be a sport.
Nice yes and.
Yeah. I
What about
literally
jousting?
jousting? Jousting would be pretty sick. No, because you use a horse. I think
What?
I think if the horse is doing most of the work, it's not a sport.
But-
same thing with like
It's not doing most of the work. In fact,
do-
it's doing very little of the work. The
it's
only
doing
thing the
all-
horse
it's
is doing is
all-
moving
it's
forward.
doing all of the work. You're telling me that the horse is
Dude,
doing
you have to like
none of the
hold.
work
You
in
have to like know where to
jousting?
joust, and like that's like saying that like
Oh,
your
I'm
shoes
sorry.
are doing
I'm
all
sorry.
the work.
I'm sorry. You're holding a stick. You're holding a stick up. I'm sorry. That's so much work compared to what the horse is doing.
Okay. What if it was two people running at each other?
Well, then that would be closer to a sport. Yes, that'd be more
Your
like a sport.
definitions are so weird to me.
Dude, if you have another, it's the same thing with the fucking.
What about derbies?
No,
What
it's
about horse
no,
derbies? That's not a
no.
sport because
It's the
their
same-
horse is
it's
doing
the-
the work.
Yes.
What?
What do you mean? If you
They
have
train their horse. They literally train the horse.
It's the same
They
thing.
train the horse.
It's the
They
same-
have to know how to train them.
Do the jockeys train the horse?
No.
No. Okay, so they're not doing fucking shit. So they're not even doing the thing you said they're doing. The
Well,
jockeys don't
there's
train
skill
the
to
horse.
being a horse jockey.
I didn't say there wasn't skill. I just said it wasn't a sport. I said that video games takes a lot of skill, but that's not a sport.
So I don't understand if something else is doing.
Okay, so let me
portion of the work is
let
no
me ask
longer
you
a
this.
sport?
Let me ask you this: if you got on LeBron James's shoulders while he was playing basketball, are you playing basketball? Like, are you a part of the
But what if
sport?
it's two humans teamed up together?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wait. But I'm asking you. Basketball is a team of people.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But no, that's not. Listen to me. If you got on LeBron James' shoulders, like if you climbed on his shoulders while he was playing in a game of basketball, and you said
Actually-
like, "Oh, I'm playing basketball,"
Okay, I
You're
get your argument about who's carrying, right?
Yeah, he's
but
literally-
but I'd like to say
He's doing all the work.
I'd like to say I would like to see a version of basketball where it's just two people,
Yeah.
one person just on the other person's shoulders, and
yeah.
one of them runs and the other one hoops.
Yeah.
That would be a sport.
No, but that's not what's happening.
Okay.
LeBron James is still bouncing
In
the
a
ball,
derby,
still
it's all
shooting.
about like moving fast, and the horse does all of that.
No, and like your only job as the basketball jockey would be to kick his chest
Every
tell
now
him
and then
that-
it'd be like, hey,
and tell
keep it
him,
up, good job.
Yeah. Like that's you. It's like, yeah, go faster, LeBron James. Yeah. Like it's it's
I kind of agree with the horse derby thing.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense.
do you understand what I'm saying now? Like
in fact, you could make the argument that like being a NASCAR driver,
yeah.
right, takes a little bit more finesse than being a jockey. You know what I mean? Because you you fully control the vehicle.
Yeah,
Like, it's-
exactly. You have the jockey all is just sitting on like another sentient being that's just like,
Dude, today the list of people that we have pissed off is bowlers, horse jockeys, fencers, jousters. We pissed off swimmers. We pissed off golfers today. We definitely pissed off some sweaty e-gamer nerds. We pissed off boxers. You just straight up called boxing not a sport. You called all of MMA not a sport.
I said that if they fight each other like another person, that it's a sport.
So boxing is a sport.
Sure.
And MMA is a sport?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you're fighting someone else. If
That's
you're like just
literally what
practicing.
boxing and
yes.
MMA is,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not like like training alone. That wouldn't be a sport.
Yeah.
That's training alone. And who the fuck trains alone anyway?
What a fucking
totally
loser.
don't do that. Yeah, we pissed off a lot of people today.
Yeah. I really could care less.
Well, I don't think that wrestling is a sport. Not like Greco-Roman, but like AEW.
You don't think that pro wrestling is a sport?
Yeah, pro wrestling. Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, I don't.
Well,
think
they're
it's a sport.
doing it against somebody
It's
else.
entertainment. It's entertainment, right? But it's not an actual competition because it's written who is going to win most of the time. So it's not an actual competition, first off. Second off, they're not being scored on anything, right? Like, it's usually like an objective that's already written. It's already written who's going to win.
I think
It's not a sport.
I
It's an
think-
entertainment.
so. I think that I see it like on a spectrum, like
It's
like how I was
yeah,
saying.
if you
how,
watch pro wrestling, you're definitely on the spectrum.
how well, shut up. So what does that say for you? Anyway,
I'm watching it because you asked me to.
yeah. So that means
You're my little spectrum buddy, and I'm trying to like make you happy and engage in your little.
I really think
habits.
that we're going into territory of pissing off people that we don't want to piss off right now. But I'm saying that it's like on a that sports is
say
like a
what I wanna say.
spectrum. Closer.
You're gonna have to use a different term.
What's
You're gonna have to
wrong?
use a different term.
Okay, fine. There's like a slider bar. That there's it's on one end there's sports and the other end there's no sports. And like I'll take my mouse and like if I click on the slider bar, I think that
So when
like
you
pro
make
wrestling is like on the upper half of sports. It's not quite sports, but it's closer to sports than something like golf, which is totally not a
It's
sport.
closer to sports than golf. That's what
Yes.
you think? You think that pro wrestling you
Yes.
think that pro wrestling
Yes.
is more of a sport
Hell yes.
than golf.
Hell yes. They don't.
Wow.
Yes. 100%.
Wow.
100%. Way more athletic. It takes way more athletic skill to be a fucking pro wrestler than a golfer. Are you kidding me?
But that's not the only factor that goes into a sport. That isn't.
It's a huge factor of what goes into a sport.
Yeah, also fucking a competition. The whole concept of a competition that's organic. It's not rigged.
I don't think, dude, in golf, you literally hit the ball and then you don't even walk after it. Yep. You drive.
Okay,
you
that's
get
the
into
athletic.
a little
You're going back to the athletic part. I was
drive.
talking about the competition. You're going back to the athletic part.
Yeah.
It's a competition.
It's still a competition in pro wrestling.
No, it isn't.
Even if you lose.
It literally isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Okay. So here's the thing.
You don't know who's going to win in golf. It's a competition. You can
I'm sorry. Do you know who's going to win in pro wrestling?
No, I'm saying no one knows. I'm saying no one knows who's going to win in golf.
Right.
No one knows who's going to win in golf.
Oh, so so you're saying that if a
What do you do? Why do you create hypotheticals? Like it's you don't know. If you were to take golfers, if you were to take random golfers and get into a course, you don't know who's going to win. You can stipulate, but you can speculate. I mean, based on their past records.
So you think that golf is closer to a sport than pro wrestling is?
Definitely.
Why?
Because they're competing. It's an actual competition where a bunch of people, without any scripting or any fake anything, it's not fake, are going and using their skill and ability to hit. So hold on.
Yeah.
I already know what you're trying to say.
Okay.
I'm not saying that pro wrestlers don't possess any skill.
No.
I'm not saying that pro wrestlers don't possess any athletic ability.
That wasn't the angle that I was going to come at.
Or that they don't have to be skilled and perform and entertain.
Right.
I see pro wrestling like a play. Is a play a sport? No, it's not. And just like that, I don't see pro wrestling as a sport. Pro wrestling is an entertainment. It is a play that happens on the screen. It takes it's a play that requires physical activity, which is the part that makes it interesting, right? But it is a play at the end of the day. I might as well be watching a stage play. That is what wrestling is. That's what pro wrestling is. Not a sport. Take a stage play, make them have to improv, which happens in stage plays, have improvisation, and have physical ability. But the results of the stage play is already written, and I'm watching it play out in front of me. That is what pro wrestling is.
So let me ask you this. With boxing, right? You said that you think that boxing is a sport.
Do you also said that you think boxing is a sport.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm just confirming for the audience that you think that boxing is a sport.
I also want to say that my point about knowing who's going to win or not is not the same as if you take Tiger Woods and put him up against Nathan Hershey, you don't know who's going to win. Obviously you do because there's a skill component to it, right? But I'm just saying that you don't always know who's going to win in a golf competition. It's not always that one-sided. And because there's skill and there's not a pre-written outcome, a pre-decided on outcome, then people can actually win. You know what I'm saying? It takes skill for you to actually beat it. So that was my point about you don't know who's going to win. Anyway, continue.
So my question about boxing was you consider it a sport. So if somebody fixes a boxing match, does it automatically not become a sport for you anymore?
Actually, yeah.
It doesn't become a sport.
If it's fixed?
It's just it gets the whole of that
so you know
boxing
what's
match
funny?
gets
You know what's
ripped
funny?
away.
It's funny that you bring this up. No, you said a different thing there. The whole gets ripped away. That's not. I don't agree with that. No, I don't think that. Your original question though was about if it's a sport. It's funny you use that term because when you hear people talk about rigged boxing matches, the complaint they say is that it takes the sport out of it.
Right.
So yeah,
I'm asking you.
Do I agree with him?
So
yes.
do you think that a rigged boxing match is no longer a sport?
Yes, I think a rigged boxing match takes the sport out of boxing.
And what if only one person knows that it's rigged?
Do the two people?
So let's say one of the fighters throws, and the other fighter doesn't know that he's throwing. It is automatically not a boxing match.
Hold on, that's a good question. You're saying, I want to understand what you're saying. Two people would know, right? The guy who rigged it, right? And then the guy who's one of the fighters. So two people would know.
Yeah, sure, two people.
One of them, their job is to throw. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And the other person doesn't know
that he's throwing.
I don't know what I would say. I mean, I would say that one person is here to engage in a sport of boxing and fight and see who the victor is, and the other person is here to purposely throw, to purposely fuck up.
Does the match that they participate in count as a sport?
I don't know. I'd say I don't know.
And if
I'm not
nobody
sure.
and if nobody else knows that happened.
No, I'd have to say I'd err on the side of no. I don't think it counts. I think for that one boxer who is there to like box and do his thing, you know what I'm saying? He is playing with sportsmanship, and for him it's a sport.
Right.
But the match isn't, because his opponent is intent on giving up and losing. So no, I don't think it's a sport.
Now take something like the New England Patriots, right? One year they were going around and watching other teams' practice tapes and learning all their playbooks and using that against them to beat those teams. And they went to the Super Bowl that year and won. Does that mean that every game that they participated in where the other team didn't have their playbook,
Well, they
that
watched.
that didn't count?
Well, hold on. Well, I don't know what happened here. So, did they do what anyone else could do?
No, you're not allowed to watch your team. You're not allowed to watch your opponent's practices to learn their plays.
Okay, so they broke the rules of the game?
Yes.
So why do you think those rules are there, Oscar?
Right, I understand, to keep it fair.
There you go. That's a great. No, hold on. That's a great word. That's a great word.
Right.
Fair.
Right.
For a sport to be a sport, there is a level of fairness to it. Not, again, to go back to the Tiger Woods versus Nathan analogy, would you call that fair? No, most people wouldn't. But there is a fairness present, right? People can become skilled at it, and there can be surprise upsets that no one knew.
Like I said, I
don't think that's fair. I don't think what the Patriots did is fair, and I think that's why that rule is there.
I think that it's closer. I think that it's closer.
Now, is that closer? I think that happening is still closer to a sport than pro wrestling. I think the Patriots looking at those playbooks and then playing football at the Super Bowl is still closer to a sport than pro wrestling.
Like I said, it's on a spectrum. But I agree with you.
But I still think that, like, you know, that's not really fair.
Bro, these motherfuckers are hitting a ball once and then driving. And then getting into a car.
But you're going back to the athletic thing. But you're going back to the athletic thing.
Yeah,
is it
that's
fair?
what I'm saying.
Is it fair though? Yes. Is there competition? Yes. So there is a sports aspect to it. You know, they have to score high. You have to be. Don't act like fucking you could walk out to a golf course today and be given a club, hit the ball, and score exceptionally well with it. So obviously there does take some skill to at least be good at hitting the ball. Could you do that? Could you do that? Could you do that? No. Right. Because you have to practice it. Because there is a difficulty to it. Okay. Let's not gloss over that. So that is a factor of the sport.
Do you think that are we taking it on the difficulty level now? Because which do you think is more difficult?
I think
which do you think is more difficult to do? Be a pro wrestler or be a fucking golfer?
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying the amount of difficulty is the amount of sport it is. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it requires part of something to be a sport.
Right.
Is that it requires a skill that people compete at.
Yes.
So if the skill was like anyone could do it, everyone could do it at the same level.
That's a
component. That's a component.
Right.
It's not all of it.
Right.
So you can't just say that it takes skill to be athletic and do flips, so therefore it's a sport. It's a component.
Yes.
So you need fairness, right? If it's rigged ahead of time, it's not a fucking sport.
Right.
If it's not fair, it's not a fucking sport. If someone's cheating, that takes the sport out of it. And if it doesn't take any skill at all, if it's literally like breathing, it's not a sport.
Yeah, but I think that
pro wrestling has skill, but it's rigged, so it's not a sport.
But to be successful at pro wrestling,
they're not actually being scored, so it's not a sport.
That's what I'm saying, is that to be successful at pro wrestling, you have to get over with the crowd.
That is a skill, yes. And I agree with you. That's a skill. And if you want to sit here and make the argument that there is a sport to being successful.
I think I know. I know how I got you.
If you want to sit here, but I don't think you should be so focused on getting me.
No.
I don't know why you focus so much on trying to get your opponent in an argument.
Yeah, because
just speak your mind. Just speak your mind.
I'll speak my mind. I think that pro wrestling is more of a sport than golf because you can cheer in pro wrestling. Thank you.
Oh my god!
I would like to move on now. Can you cheer in golf? Can you cheer in golf?
The last thing I was going to say.
Can you cheer in golf?
The last thing I was going to extend you an olive branch. You did that, but I'll still extend it anyway. If you want to say that there is a sport to what you just said, which is like your ability as a as a wrestler to win over the crowd. You know, remember how we had that whole argument about Kenny Omega and how it was more of a conversation really, but about how he like you as a wrestler, you can take control of your character, and if you see that it's like doing bad or they're trying to turn you into a heel or they're trying to just like give you the brunt of a lot of these matches, you can kind of reinvent yourself,
right?
And you have a chance to kind of sway the writers,
right?
And if it works against the crowd, you know, then you can change the course of your career, right?
Right.
So if you want to make an argument that there is a sport to your ability to, you know, do that, and your ability to like write and invent new characters, and I'll let you do that, but that's very subjective. And now you're turning like a thing that isn't really a sport and calling it there's a sport in it. And if you want to do that, then we could sit here and make the argument about golfing being a sport. We can sit here and make the argument about like, you know, gaming being a sport, because now we're getting into like, well, you can see it as a sport because it takes skill.
That's why I said, even at the very beginning of this argument, I said that it is on a spectrum. I don't think that pro wrestling is like a full sport.
You actually, it's funny you say that, because you actually said it about like 30 or 35 minutes in. You didn't say it at the beginning of this argument. It's interesting that you said that, because you didn't. You brought it up like halfway through the argument. So I don't know what I don't know.
Bro, I hate you. I hate you so much, dude. Listen,
that's why I said this at the beginning of the argument 30 minutes in.
Yeah. I said earlier that it's a spectrum. I just think on the sports spectrum, or on the sports slider, or however the fuck you want to say it, I think that pro wrestling is more of a sport than fucking golf. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. And as we discussed earlier, my opinion is objectively
law.
True. Is law. Yes, we've discussed that. Yes. And therefore I'm right, you're wrong. I
think a lot of viewers probably like kind of felt bad for you when you were talking about just a second ago how, you know, I brought up the beginning and you're like, God, I hate this guy, right? Like he just corrects and stuff. But then as soon as you said all that, I think all their, you know, empathy and remorse for you just kind of evaporated. You know, like how can you feel bad for someone who says that? So I mean,
do you think I need their empathy and remorse?
Yeah, I think.
Do you think I need their attention, their love?
Whoa.
Well, it's true. I do.
What are you saying? I love our viewers.
I love our viewers so very much. I love them.
You don't want their empathy. You don't want their empathy or love. I want our viewers.
I want
and
it.
Love.
Do you think I need it to dunk on you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think you do.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think you've been paying attention, my friend.
I don't think you've been paying attention, because you said that shit at the beginning of the argument. That was 30 minutes for you to pay attention. You fucked that up.
Oh my fucking God. Anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are winding down here on our time.
I mean, we're not even at an hour.
Yeah, we're getting close to our time. Usually we like to keep.
I'm excited to go. We're about to go swimming at
Ye Olde Barton Springs.
Yep,
the coldest water on the planet.
Cold, which is befitting of me, because I'm cold as fuck. Anybody knows me? I'm fucking icy as hell. I'm iced up. I'm cold as a motherfucker.
Yeah, so I think that Barton Springs is going to be great because it's nice and hot outside. The water's going to be very cool.
You can see the silence in the project file.
We're going to be.
You can see it in the waveform, how long you fucking waited.
Because I was not going to justify
what you mean,
that
bro?
with a response.
I'm cold as fuck. How am I not cold? Tell me how I'm not cold. Tell me how I'm not cold. I'm cold.
Nathan, I look at you and like you look like a person that if I were to beat you up and like defeat you in a fight, you would drop common loot. So I like, and you saying these things, it's just ridiculous, really. I didn't want to say this because I was your friend, and like
Are you calling me a peasant?
I just think that you're a low tier enemy. That's
you think I'm low tier?
Sorry, like sorry. I didn't mean for it to come to this. I didn't want this.
You're like the enemy that they kill in the game and it drops like 1 gold. Like it doesn't even drop an item.
That was the joke that I just made. I
literally just made.
It doesn't drop common items.
I'm saying if we're using your method of fucking rating,
you literally just made the same joke that I made.
I'm not making a joke. I'm not making a joke. I'm using your method, and I'm saying I would imagine you wouldn't drop common items at all. You would just drop like 1 gold. You wouldn't even drop that shit. I'm just telling you, if we're being honest about how we see each other, that's how I see you. You're like you know when you play Elden Ring and there's like a deer, like you don't even kill it, right? Like it's not even worth killing. It's not gonna give you like souls or anything.
Call me a fucking deer.
I'm sorry, I didn't want it to come to this.
Oh man. Now
that we hate each other, let's wrap this up and go swimming.
Yeah.
Which is not a sport, according to Oscar.
Not a sport. It's something you do to survive.
That's why we're going to Barton Springs, to survive.
Yeah,
definitely.
To survive the heat. Because it's like 103 out right now.
It is hot as hell.
It is hot as
hell.
hell.
I'm cold as fuck. Well, fellas, thank you for coming to the podcast. Hope you liked this one. We probably pissed off a lot of people, which is great. In fact, if you're upset or disagree with us,
just tell us in the comments.
Tell us in the comments, and also, please submit a question. We're running out of questions.
Dear God, we're using AI.
We're literally looking up topics because we're running out. So please just submit a question, please.
Anyway, but yeah, we'll be back next week with some more gags and funny fun times. And
nice, dude.
Before we get out of here, I just would like to say, you never know what anybody's going through, so be kind to everybody. With that, Nathan, take it away.
We're out of here.